Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from Am I the A-hole? Story 1 is by Lonely Commercial 37. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother that his son is not a monster for not being his wife's emotional support human? My nephew Grayson is 15 years old. When he was 8, his mom and unborn sister passed away after she had a placental abruption. Gray was in the car with his parents at the time it happened, and he watched his mom die. My brother Ken also watched his wife die. It was incredibly traumatic for both of them. Ken fell apart and so did Gray, but Ken focused more on his own grief and healing than he did on Gray's and ignored Gray's grief further when he decided 18 months later that he was ready to date again. Ken met his second wife Vera when Gray was 10 and they got married 5 months into their relationship. Vera told Gray that she would do everything she could to be a good mom to him and fill the shoes his mom left better than anyone could. She joked more than once that she might even be better at this than his old mom. That, along with Gray feeling like Ken was replacing his mom and doing everything too fast, meant Gray never liked or bonded with Vera. She has tried very hard to get close to him, but he's not interested. I tried talking to Ken about getting Gray help and talking to a therapist himself. My parents always assured Ken Gray will come around in time. A little over a year ago, Ken and Vera's son was stillborn, due to a fatal fetal abnormality that ran in Vera's family, which she was not aware of. OP, your family's been through way too much in such a short time. She ended up needing a C-section because of complications, and afterwards she was no longer to have more children. Gray did not have much of a reaction to the loss. He was open with me that he really didn't feel any grief despite everyone expecting him to. To him, he lost no sibling when his half-brother was stillborn. He was never excited for him or considered him anything more than his dad's baby with someone. But everyone has expected it, and even our parents told Ken that Gray would fall apart in time. During all this, Vera had wanted Gray to be there for her and comfort her and be the son he has never wanted to be to her. Recently, Vera made a greater effort to try to get Gray to be there and comfort her. She confronted him and told him she needed him to be more caring. This happened in front of my parents and family. She told him she feels like he doesn't care, that he can't even support his family. He told her she is not his family and he won't ever be there to support her. Ken jumped in and said it's like he doesn't care and that's sick. He then went on a rant about how Gray should be so much more concerned and loving towards Vera and called him a monster for refusing to be there for her after the worst loss of her life. I told Ken that he shouldn't talk to Gray that way. I told him Gray is not a monster for refusing to be Vera's emotional support human, and that he expected way too much given the very sour and complicated relationship that was already there. My parents and Ken thought I was horrifically wrong for stepping in. Gray thanked me, and he told me that Ken doesn't get that he views him as a cold monster and that he's ashamed of him. Am I the a-hole? This last sentence here, is this saying that the kid looks at his father as a cold monster and that he's ashamed of him? If he's a teenager, there's still no responsibility on him to fill the gap that some other woman feels from losing her own child. She lost her child, and so she's like, oh, I can't have kids anymore. You're going to be my child, and you need to support me and love me like a mom. That is not how this works. This is loss. This is grief. This can take decades to heal from, and some people never heal from it. Oh my. This is a terrible story. What Gray went through losing his mom and his would-have-been sister early on and witnessing it, you can't rely on a kid to be there to support you. And he may never bond with her, and that's okay. He's been through a lot. She said some kinda not nice things about his mom. Of course he's not gonna bond with her. It's just gonna make him hate her deep down. At least he doesn't go to her and say, I hate you. Our next story is by Guava Nervous 9636. Am I the a-hole for wanting to keep the jewelry from our fake marriage? I'm a 26 female and I'm fake married to Hassan, who's a 27 male. We're both super gay and needed to get our very religious families in a strict culture off our backs. Hassan is from New York City while I am from Texas. It's not a legally binding marriage, but we had wedding ceremonies with our family and only us and a few of our friends know the deal. Prior to our marriage, Hassan's side of the family gave me jewelry as part of a wedding dowry. Not family heirlooms, they purchased them new, which is customary for the boys' side of the family and our culture. Hassan and I both verbally agreed that we will divorce in 5 years and I get to keep the jewelry due to the fact that I'll be uprooting my life in Texas and moving with him to New York so that he can be closer to his family. We got our own place in New York City, split everything 50-50 financially, and act as a married couple when we were their families, but do date whoever we want on our own. We consider ourselves roommates, with a caveat. I know in the Western culture it makes more sense to cut out toxic families, but we don't want to do that, and we would rather go through this complicated way to find our freedom. It's been 2 years into this arrangement, and Hassan wants to move in with his boyfriend and come clean to our families. I'm not at a point where I'm ready to come clean, but if he wants to do that, then I'm not stopping him, and I know that means my family will be finding out too. It also comes with the additional job of me now having to either move back to Texas or keep my job in New York City and look for a new place, which I am not fully financially prepared for yet. Since Hassan is breaking our initial agreement of staying married for 5 years, I told him that I'm keeping the wedding dowry jewelry, which led to us having a big fight as he thinks I'm not entitled to it due to us not being married for real. My reasoning is that I moved to another state at his insistence. I did it with the expectation that if he were to break our agreement, I'd be financially covered by keeping the jewelry. I would not have moved to another state if I didn't have the financial security, all discussed and agreed upon between us prior to our arrangement. Our friends are split on this, as some think I'm being an a-hole and others think I deserve to keep the jewelry. What do you think? I swear you guys are married already. This is not fake married. You guys are totally married. Because you guys are having arguments and fights over everything. This story strikes me as firmly unbelievable. I'm not going to say it's fake outright, though, because the kind of desperation that ultra-religious, super controlling families create on their children do create an environment where this could have happened. It's truly sad that this sort of thing, you have to question if it's real or not, because the desperation in this kind of situation can cause things like this. To answer the question about whether it's wrong of you to keep the jewelry, you moved states to do this fake marriage. You don't have the finances yet to have your own place. This jewelry could help you get a start, depending on how pricey it is, I guess, but dowry jewelry is usually very expensive. So you get to keep it, sell it, pawn it, auction it, whatever, and you get to use that to start your life here. The agreement was you get to keep the jewelry and you were divorcing in 5 years. He broke the agreement. That doesn't mean you have to give the jewelry back. Down in the comments by Black Math Chick. Not the a-hole, but honestly, why does he need to fully come clean about this, including your involvement? If you aren't ready, wouldn't it be easier for him to come out? You guys, quote, divorce because he's gay and you can claim you didn't know and that you guys were a normal married couple until this point? People do come out later in life and leave their old partner sometimes, so it wouldn't be totally unheard of. It would protect you from the repercussions of forcing you to come out before you're ready, while allowing him to have his life as he so chooses. You agreed that when you, quote, divorced, the jewelry was yours, so it's yours. Yes, it's 3 years too early, but I don't see how that changes anything. The cost is paying for you relocating. Already happened, so you earned it. Our next story is by Head Psychology, 7397. Am I the a-hole for asking my sister to not walk around semi-naked in the house? I'm a 31 male, and my sister Emily, who's 28, was recently homeless due to varying reasons. She approached me to ask for help, and I was only glad to help her. I told her that she can live in my house rent-free and that she can stay there as long as she wants, also that I have no problem if she lives there permanently, etc. My wife Sarah, who's 35, was fine with it as well. She likes to walk around in revealing clothes. Sometimes she doesn't wear a bra, and at other times she has no top on at all. I had no problem with her remaining there at all, but I don't like people who act like this. Especially when it's in my house. I never asked her not to wear such stuff as she's staying elsewhere, so I asked her politely not to do that, especially since there's my 10-year-old son as well. She got mad and accused me of controlling her, being a misogynist, and that it's none of my business what she wears, etc. I responded by saying, it's my business when you're living in my house. If you want to do that, go ahead, but you cannot do it here. My morals do not allow that, and you're not even paying anything. I told you that you can live here forever, and the least thing you can do to repay it is to wear decent clothes. She got mad a lot and began to yell at me, using abusive language, etc. I did not back down and asked her to get out if she thinks it's problematic. She said, "When I can live here without paying money? F that. I am not going to leave, and I don't want to search for another house either." So she's still here. But I am wondering whether it was an overreach on my part, considering what I told her. Am I the a-hole? This one brought up a lot of mixed replies. Apparently there are some cultures, somebody mentioned, I believe, Spain, maybe it was Italy down in the comments, I don't have that in front of me, where women at home go around topless all the time. And it's just the norm. You're in your house, it's super hot, you have no shirt on. It's a cultural thing. I have no idea what culture this is. Regardless, if she's staying at your house for free, you can tell her to wear a clown suit if you want. That's your requirement for her staying there. And she has to do it, or she can go find somewhere else to live. It's your house, it's your rules. It doesn't matter what you ask her to wear, she has to change, or she'll go somewhere else. And the question, of course, was discussed as well. Is this a reasonable request? Is it reasonable for them to expect her to wear a top? Generally, in most cultures, yes, it's reasonable for her to wear a top. If she were just not wearing a bra underneath the shirt, there's a lot of places where women do that. They're still covered and you can't see anything. Again, it's cultural, but that would be fine in my eyes. But I'm pretty sure most of the women in the world, given the opportunity to live for free at somebody's house, would wear a shirt, maybe wear a bra underneath. It's not that complicated a request. Your home, your rules. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have a comfortable day.